Hey everybody, what is up? It is the Just Face It podcast. This week we have episode 6, and we have our special guest, TheWrathbringer. We are going to be jumping into different gaming news that's been going on this week, but first of all, what we want to do is we want to let our guest introduce himself. So, TheWrathbringer, if you want to tell everybody who you are.
Hi, yes, I am the Wrathbringer, aka Vinny. You'll hear that either way. I've been streaming on Facebook since January or so, and basically very casually. With having a family and whatnot, it's sometimes kind of difficult to stream all the time. But I do. I stream mainly Final Fantasy based type of stuff. Final Fantasy record keepers. But since I've met up with you guys, quite a few months ago, I've been playing a bunch of other stuff. So it's been awesome doing it. They're playing all those games with the Saturday Night Crew.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and just real quick, for anyone who may be new here, if you guys do not know who we are, I'm Smitch.
I'm Tater. We are Tater and Smitch. I got this.
Anyone else? We have Jace from the Mocking Jace, and we have Justin, aka the Psychocrast. So we are your typical hosts here on the podcast. And before we move on, I just wanted to ask kind of a couple more questions for the Wrathbringer, just to give our audience a better idea of what got you into streaming and things like that. So along those lines, I just want to ask, what originally brought you to streaming and what made you start doing it?
So I've been wanting to do it for a while. I mean, I know you guys, and I know I'm a lot older than you all, and I've seen Twitch at its infancy, and I thought it was really cool, but I was too shy to be in front of the camera, and I didn't think anybody would want to actually watch me play a game. And then a couple of my friends kind of convinced me that I should try it. So then I just gave it a go and decided, since a lot of them are on Facebook, might as well just do it here and see how it goes. And it's been a lot of fun.
Cool. So, kind of following that same train of thought, just one last real quick question is, what has your favorite part of streaming been through your experiences that you've had?
I think I touched it earlier, but I mean, just meeting a bunch of new friends and new gaming people to play with. It's been that piece has been the thing that's been the most rewarding. Besides, getting to know some people that actually share the same interests that I do, and on top of that, just meeting all new people to call friends and colleagues outside of streaming. So it's been awesome.
Yeah, I think a lot of us probably share that sentiment that we've met a lot of really awesome people through streaming that we probably would not have met otherwise.
Absolutely.
So I think that's pretty good for an intro. We'll definitely get into it more with you, and we'll have some questions for you at the end just to kind of wrap up and get to know more about you. But
I'm so looking forward to the grilling.
Rapid fire!
Because this is meant to be more of a Facebook-based podcast, one thing we like to hit on every week is the changes to Facebook. I'll let Tater talk about this. It's kind of just a quick point that we have, but I think it was something we talked about previously that's now come back.
Yeah, so previously we were all super excited that we could now change our video game and stream title from the dashboard, and after like 3 days they took it away. But fun fact, it's back, so we'll see how long it lasts this time. But it's great, because when we inevitably forget to change something, we can now do it from the dashboard without blowing everybody else out with our stream over our stream.
Yeah.
Because that's always fun.
Yeah. That's all I think we noted is going on. Anyone else notice anything different going on with Facebook in the past week or so?
No, I haven't seen anything.
No, that's been the same for me.
Cool.
I'm honestly just happy with the title changes.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
I was like, it was gone, and then they brought it back, and it didn't take 3 months, so that was super exciting. Because
I'm
usually,
actually
go ahead.
guilty of not using the dashboard, so I didn't know that it came back or it was gone. So
Well, now you know, Justin. Now you know. So with that being the only changes this week, we'll kind of get into the meat of the episode, and we'll get to the news that was this week. And since I've been talking a bunch already, if Jace or Justin wants to kind of take it away and walk us into the articles, that'd be awesome.
Sure. So, Stream Elements has released this week their state of the stream for quarter 2, 2019, where they basically came in and broke down all the statistics they've noticed from people using their program Stream Elements. One of the big ones for us was that Facebook has seen some growth in the amount of live hours watched. So, breaking it down, out of total hours watched per platform, Twitch is number one, 72.2% of the total share, and YouTube comes in second with 19.5%. But then Facebook squeaked right in there at 5.3%, ahead of Mixer, who's already an established platform, who's sitting at 3%. So we have beat out Mixer, which makes me really happy.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's definitely not something I was expecting to see. I am curious how much of that is... I don't know if they broke it out with live versus just video streaming for Facebook. So I would be curious to dig a little deeper into that and see if maybe Facebook got an edge because Facebook is traditionally videos watched after the fact. So I am kind of curious how that plays into those stats, but still overall super awesome.
It says for watching live streaming.
Does it say live streaming?
On their little info.
Okay,
thing.
so I'll assume that that's actual like live time then.
Yeah, and Stream Elements, because I'm assuming they're doing it off their numbers. You know what they actually see used. They would only notice that while somebody's live using Stream Elements.
Yeah,
but
I do think some of the data was gathered also through a third party in addition to Stream Elements, though. So
probably.
Well, and I'm sure the partnership between Facebook Gaming and Stream Elements probably helped boost that too.
Yeah, because you probably see a lot more people using the software. For anyone who may not know, Facebook or Stream Elements in the past month, I believe, announced they had full integration
recently
with Facebook. So that's something that they've only recently put out. But
yeah, and I don't think this, I'm assuming since it's Stream Elements that put this out, this doesn't include, obviously people who aren't using Stream Elements as well.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's a safe assumption.
Yeah,
because there are Stream Elements is fantastic. There are a lot of people who don't use that. A lot of newer streamers, they just they use Streamlabs and then they use that to figure out, or as kind of their jumping off point, or they'd use strictly OBS or XSplit, or they don't use Stream Elements at all for any of their alerts. So
yeah,
either way, I'm excited.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a huge win for Facebook to be number 3 in the space now. I am kind of curious, kind of taking into account that Stream Elements is probably getting data from their own platform, what percentage of that pie is actually being occupied by other services that weren't mentioned here. But I always love seeing these infographics that kind of break things down for us and all the back-end stuff, because that's not necessarily information that these platforms are openly giving out. You'll typically see breakdowns per platform, but not necessarily comparing them to one another. I know one other thing I found interesting in this article, and it doesn't necessarily relate to Facebook, but I was kind of curious what opinions everyone here had on it, is kind of a note of a shift in viewership and kind of the general trends on Twitch. And what they call it in their article is the top 5K. So basically what they're saying is the top 5,000 channels on Twitch are actually drawing just under 75% of the total viewership on the website. Which, you guys have any thoughts on that and comments?
I mean, it's not surprising.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've all experienced it, and we've talked about it before. Twitch is it's not friendly towards small streamers.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Most people go towards those big channels. They want to see those, crazy big moments and stuff like that. Like I was talking with a friend the other day, and he's like, "Why don't you play PUBG?" I'm like, well, my own personal opinions about the game aside, nobody really wants to watch it because me personally, I can't get those, crazy 360 no scopes from across the map. I'm not that skill level.
Yeah,
and
Jumping out of the Jeep
people
and like sniping.
yeah, and you pull up, PUBG, on whether it's Facebook or Twitch or something like that, you're going to see like 99% of the viewers in one or two channels,
Mhm.
right at the top, because they are looking for that high skill level. So, I mean, it's not surprising to me at all, at least not for Twitch.
Any thoughts,
It's kind of
Justin?
the same. It's kind of the same on Facebook for those kind of games too. So you'll see. I tried doing PUBG on Facebook and I got like 20 views because I suck. So yeah. It is interesting to see the shift of the new king of Twitch. It's been a while, but yeah, it's still the same guys who've been the top for the last couple of years. You got Ninja on there, and you got Summit 1G,
Lyric Shroud.
Lyric Shroud. Yeah,
Tfue.
you got the big guys who've been there. So yeah, my thoughts are the same as Jace's. It's kind of a boys' club to be on the top of Twitch, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
When
do
you
find.
see the,
Go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
Go ahead. Mine's a little
Well,
off topic, so.
I was just gonna say, and you see, like, especially with Twitch, you see those top few channels. They call them influencers here, but they kind of dictate to everybody, like, down the food chain, what you need to be playing too.
Mhm.
Especially on Twitch, you for a while it was Sea of Thieves. One of the
Yep.
big streamers went back to Sea of Thieves. Then everybody else had to go to Sea of Thieves because that's what everybody wanted to watch, regardless of your channel size. That's what everybody to watch, and it kind of happens. You see those trends happen a lot, depending on what the big streamers are playing. That's what people want to see the smaller streamers playing as well.
yeah, Grand Theft. Oh, sorry.
I think on that topic, it's very interesting the shift of top games that is listed in this article, because Grand Theft Auto 5 has jumped up 150%, which is insane, I feel like, in a single quarter. But like you said, if one of the top dogs are playing it, that's going to really quickly trickle down to the other streamers. And I would really be interested to see if that breakdown is also the same on Mixer and Facebook. So I don't think I've seen a lot of Grand Theft Auto, but I also don't go looking for it. So
Yeah, I've watched a couple of streams that with Grand Theft Auto, and it's mainly because of the RP community. I think you guys touched on that last week, but it's really entertaining to watch those people hone their craft on entertaining the audience, because you just get some hilarious moments out of the RPing that they do. So I can see why it's jumped up because of how entertaining it is.
Yeah,
For sure. And I think it does happen on Facebook often too. Not to the same degree, but I think it still does happen. I was thinking, I've seen it a couple times. Most recent I saw was Ring of Elysium. I think shortly after they got out of early access and they had their official launch. Stone Mountain, we saw him on it, and then a whole bunch of other people started streaming that as well too. Where it was even 2 weeks before that, there was one, maybe two people streaming it anytime I would check it.
Mm-hmm.
see, I think we actually do the opposite. Is that when we're thinking, or when we were doing a lot of Destiny, if there were other high, like the bigger Destiny streamers on at the same time as us, we would see nothing, so we would often go play something else.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to come to watch us for Destiny if there are 4 people above us in the directory, so let's play something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just as a general tip, I feel that we should give out to anybody who's new to streaming. If a game is super saturated, you're not going to find much luck by playing that game.
Yeah.
If you were trying to stream PUBG Mobile on Facebook, you're 1 out of a million. It's
So many
You're-
people play PUBG
how
Mobile.
many people are going to find you?
Yep, like the game I mainly stream, I think maybe two other people stream it on Facebook. So I know if I can build that up, then I could try to build an audience based off of that, since that's a market that hasn't been tapped into. So
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing the difference you see when you are top 1 or 2 in the directory versus if you're 5, 6, 7 down. Just the amount of people talking.
Fallout 76 is a perfect example of that. There's not very many channels that do stream Fallout 76, and out of the ones that I know do, I'm the bigger channel, so I usually get more views.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Because it is interesting. Just one of the differences between Facebook and other platforms is I'll use Twitch as an example because it's probably the one people are most familiar with. If you click on a game and you go to the directory, you can just get like a scroll page that you can go through that tells you like in list of number of viewers who all is streaming the game. But Facebook, when you land on the homepage for that game, it only tells you theoretically the top 6 people. You actually have to click a button to see more streams after that. And I think they're in viewer order, but partners are prioritized or something like that. There's like this weird algorithm that works into it. But sometimes it pays to be that number 5 or number 6 person, because even if you're not getting top views, you're immediately put in front of someone's eyes. Whereas if you're, like we said, playing PUBG Mobile or something like that, you end up another button click down in the directory. So
Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of the nice thing about Facebook too, is because it is the relative newcomer. The ratio between streamers and viewers is a lot different than Twitch or Mixer or something like that. There's a lot less streamers on Facebook, so if you can find a game, that works for you, that people like watching, you get a lot of people coming in. I think it's a little bit easier to kind of find that niche category for your channel, compared to other platforms.
For sure. Yeah. I don't want to have us drag on this too long. Anyone else have any last minute thoughts on the article or anything, just so we can get to some of the other stuff we got?
Trying to look through it real quick. The other thing I saw that was interesting, at least from my perspective, was the eSports ratio, because I know it's applicable to Facebook as well, because they've got a lot of special deals with or partnerships with ESL and that kind of stuff. They were showing, at least for Twitch, that it was 24.2% of hours watched in top 2 channels, or it was top 200 channels, streamers versus esports and brand. Anyways, it was the majority of people were still watching streamers over esports, which for me, I stream a lot of Overwatch. I've noticed that too, even when Overwatch League is going on. I've had viewers say, they'll have Overwatch League muted, but they're still listening to my stream while it's going on. So I just thought it was interesting that people still prefer that
the live
kind of personal interaction.
I find it interesting because if ever Rocket League esports are ever on Twitch, I'm like, let's watch that because that's hilarious. How they can do all those things, I have never understand.
What were you going to say, Benny?
I was just going to say the other thing that I'm just kind of interested to see if Facebook will do at some point, maybe they have already and I just don't know, is doing some of the other categories besides gaming, like Twitch has, like the just chatting or art or something like that. I don't know if they will expand into that field or not to capitalize on those markets.
I think... Sorry, I was going to say, I think the reason we haven't seen them explicitly go into that is because Facebook probably feels that it's captured by just their normal live services, which yeah, it's there, but it does kind of, for lack of a better word, suck as a streamer, because sometimes we want to just go live and just have a quick chat with our viewers, or do like a morning talk show or something along those lines. Not necessarily those ideas, but it doesn't count towards your streaming hours for your gaming page unless you have a video game linked or tagged. Thank you. So it would be nice to see a way to at least count those hours towards your streaming. Because even if we're just sitting here chatting, it's probably going to trickle into the gaming space at least some, just because that's who we are. But yeah, I agree, Vinny. It'll be interesting to see how they address that. But I think for right now, they're focusing more on the gaming side, just because they're like, we kind of have something for this already, and they're keeping them almost separate.
I think it'll come. It won't be anytime soon, but it'll come. I mean, Twitch and the other platforms, they didn't, start off with those right out in the forefront. They established gaming because that's where most of the returning viewers go to. So
yeah, bigger fish to fry right now too.
Okay, I guess our next topic is Nintendo has announced their Switch Lite, which is their next Switch console coming out. Supposed to be out September 20th at only $200 because it will not support anything except for handhold. But you can connect external Joy-Con controllers and the Pokeball Pro controller thing, which should be interesting. They also come in pretty colors.
I'm excited. Mario Maker on the go.
Yeah.
I think for me, I already own a Switch, so this doesn't really do anything for me personally. But I think it's good for anybody who hasn't picked up a Switch yet, and they don't care if they play it on the TV. Then it's $100 cheaper, and they can play all the awesome games that are on the Switch.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be really good for is if you have kids, so you can have a cheaper one to let them play with, and then you can have the one connected to the TV if they're like want to do like big group activities or something like that.
Unfortunately, that's opposite for me. The reason why I'm getting one is because my daughter has taken over my personal Switch. It has all her games on there. There's barely any room for me to do anything. So I'm getting the Lite for myself. That way I can actually, on the rare times I do play my Switch, I can play my Switch. So.
I still got a few years before that happens to me.
Yeah, no, I could definitely imagine my nephew having a whole lot of fun, and he's 4.5, so...
90% of my current Switch's SD card is taken up by Minecraft World, so...
Alright.
So I guess the downside to the Lite is that Nintendo is pushing back what people had hoped would be a Switch Pro release.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's good and smart for them, just because, the Switch was a huge success, and it was very impressive for Nintendo in the last few years. They haven't really put anything that was competitive out graphically.
Yeah.
I think them pushing their Switch Pro back gives them more time to kind of keep up against the other competitors. So,
to be honest, Nintendo has a bizarre business strategy compared to everyone else in the business industry. Like, they're hardcore Nintendo fans don't care about they don't care about the hardware so much as they do the software. They care about the titles that are coming out. Pretty much every console they put out hasn't been technologically impressive comparatively to what else is out there. So, while like a pro version of it sounds awesome, I think it would be silly for them to put one of those out there trying to compete with Microsoft or Sony.
Yeah.
When I don't think it will. I think when they do come out with a pro version of it, I think it's going to be much better than the Switch now, but I don't think it's going to be anything comparable to Xbox or PlayStation.
Yeah. And just as like a short aside, I'd be interested to see if the direction they go with the Pro, because if they want to keep it as a handheld console, I feel like there's only so much they can do within the size constraints that they want to have. But I would be interested to see if they do more with like the dock and potentially like expanding the video capabilities through the dock or something like that. So
Yeah.
that would kind of be what got me interested in it, but more so just because I don't play it on the TV necessarily, but because of the graphics quality. I mean, I still love my Switch, but that would be the only reason I would be interested in a Pro version, is because it still runs 720 on a TV. So
I mean, I saw a survey recently. I'm sure I could find it. That was put out whether you prefer to play your Switch docked or in handheld mode, and it was like 65% somewhere in there. It was the majority prefer to play it docked.
oh
Which I thought was
really?
kind of surprising.
I wouldn't have expected
Not what I
that.
expected.
Yeah, that's
Mine's-
interesting.
Mine's always docked. I haven't played it mobile.
Wow.
Yeah. So maybe the Pro isn't going to be a mobile version. Maybe it's just going to be
Yeah.
permanently attached to your TV.
Something to speculate.
Could be.
One thing that I was just thinking about this, since with the Switch Lite, wasn't the whole purpose of the name switch that you could switch between docking and all that stuff? And now
Yep.
this is like your forced handheld, so is this really a Switch?
This is their way, and they won't ever come out and say it, but this is their way to get rid of the DS.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I was just making a joke about
No, I
name.
get. I
Not
get
really.
it.
I mean, the Switch Lite is smart.
Oh.
Nobody else is doing handhelds. They haven't for a long time. Sony's given up on that. Microsoft never got into the game. Closest thing to handhelds are mobile gaming, and maybe those little cheap arcade things you pick up at the store. Like they own that market right now.
Yeah.
So it's better for them business wise to
Keep going that
Capitalism.
direction.
Yeah, especially if they have it at a price point that the rest of their handhelds were.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean
Mhm.
better graphics and better hardware.
Oh, yeah.
'cause
Yep.
They'll easily win the handheld market still.
So has anybody clicked on the Steam Labs link in Steam?
No,
I noticed
I
it
have not.
popped up today after I was writing all of the articles into the template. But yeah, there's a nice little banner across Steam right now for Steam Labs, which is apparently their new thing, work in progress something. I don't know.
It's their AI that's meant to help recommend what you buy next, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, well, there's apparently
Yeah.
3 different parts of it. So one is the AI recommendation that basically looks not only at like what you have been playing, but there are slider bars for what kind of games you're interested in, so you can tell them what you're looking for, and they'll take that along with what you've been playing to recommend you games. And then they're doing micro trailers, so very short snippets of trailers for games that you might be interested in, and then you can click to see more. And they're also starting a daily talk show.
I think it's awesome. I always like finding new games.
I just clicked on it, and it says that I should play Ark,
Check.
another survival game, VR games, and Japanese RPGs. So yeah, it's pretty accurate.
Oh, that's way off base.
So far off.
I mean, I tried clicking on it the other day and going through it, but like I showed you guys, my Steam
yeah,
is
your
acting
Steam's
weird.
really
Yeah.
good.
So
You're just kind of
Yeah.
messed up right
I
now.
didn't click on it. I probably should have.
Yeah, I personally haven't clicked on it, but that's because I will play anything and everything. So sometimes the weird suggestions that Steam gives me, because it has no clue what I'm playing, I'm like, oh, actually, maybe I will play that.
Let's
So-
see.
Yeah.
I hope they don't exclusively switch to it, because I like kind of dabbling in new genres that I don't necessarily normally play. But it may be something if like I get in a slump, I might click on it and be like, okay, like what are we playing?
Yeah, I've got Risk of
Yeah.
Rain 2, Left 4 Dead 2, Monster Hunter World, Dungeon
All good.
Defenders, Counter-Strike, 7 Days to Die, Black Desert.
Counter Strike's a little weird. I don't know how you got that one, but
Yeah.
I'm not real sure.
What are your
7
thoughts,
Days to
Vinny?
Die is good.
Yeah, hey Smetch, my top game Slay the Spire.
Hey, I recommended that
But
one
you just-
yesterday.
Yeah,
There you go.
exactly.
Whoa!
What a coincidence.
Their AI might actually be working.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's a cool tool. I'll be interested to see what all they do with it. 6-second trailers, I know it's a thing that other people have done, but honestly, like, from the perspective of someone who has extreme anxiety, flashing a new game at me every 6 seconds sounds like a nightmare. So I don't know if I personally will look at that feature, but
I don't think they were 6-second trailers. think you're getting 6 micro trailers.
no, I think it's like 6 seconds.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, they're supposed to-
Oh,
yeah.
dear heavens.
It's
Oh,
like
they
Just gonna
are
come
6
home and
seconds.
find Smidge curled up in a ball.
Oh,
going on?
that would be
I was watching
terrible.
Steam trailers.
I clicked
ADD
the wrong
overload.
button.
It just kept coming.
Yeah, it says Atlas is my top game, and no, I play good games.
Oh,
that's harsh.
Low blow.
It'll get there. Ark was terrible when it first came out. Just give them time.
545 hours in the Civ 5. Good God.
All right.
So,
Yeah,
go ahead, Jace.
I was just gonna say, should we move on to the
Yeah,
next
yeah,
topic?
no. I figured you were gonna grab the next one, so.
So I didn't read into this quite as closely as I think you guys did, but Amazon's developing a Lord of the Rings MMO.
Mhm. Yeah, so the reason I'm most excited about this is I absolutely love Lord of the Rings. Like, Lord of the Rings was Star Wars for me, so like I know a ton of people love Star Wars and are all about Star Wars, and I absolutely love Lord of the Rings. Loved the movies, loved like the really bad games that they made for it, for like GameCube and Xbox and all that.
Those games
Towers.
were good.
So is this supposed to be like a second MMO? Because they already had an MMO before.
Yeah, so
before that.
they have that original MMO, but what I think this is with Amazon buying the rights to Lord of the Rings, which was, I think we have noted here, a $250 million purchase for those rights in order for them to be able to produce the show. I think it's another way that they're trying to capitalize on that kind of IP that they have the rights to now.
We spent all this money. What are we going to do with it?
Yeah. But
I'm okay with it.
I know the other MMO that they made based around Lord of the Rings is still going. I think it's more of like a cult game where there's a very loyal base to it, but it's not a huge group of players that are playing it. Anyone here can correct me if you know any differently, but that's kind of my general impression of the game.
No, you're correct. It's like private servers and stuff like that are keeping it going.
I mean, that last one. Hey, there's a cat.
Yeah, Cat Shark.
That last one. That came out at a time when World of Warcraft had made it big, and so that was the gaming trend at the time. So every other developer and publisher were just pushing out, an MMO as quickly as they could to try and capitalize on that. And Lord of the Rings, unfortunately, was part of that process. But I mean, if you go and look at Steam at all the MMOs on there, all the free to play ones, those all came out during that time period. And there's a couple of good ones in there. But for them, there's very few that receive the same amount of support that, an MMO like Guild Wars 2 or World of Warcraft does now. And I don't think Lord of the Rings is one of those that still gets that same amount of support.
Yeah. I think if they're smart with their release and they somehow time it with their show and like drumming up some new hype around Lord of the Rings, I think it could do really well. I think there's people who want it. And then the other interesting thing about it is I think they're kind of doing good things with who they're bringing in to work on the project. So Tater and I noted when we were looking through the article that they are working alongside the same studio that produces Warframe. So Warframe is, for anyone who doesn't know, we kind of touched on it before, but kind of a massive multiplayer online game where you're a space ninja, but it's kind of been a model for free-to-play games for a while now because there's all of this content in the game. It's a really well-built game, and they keep putting out content, and it's all free. So I'm interested to see how working with that studio that produces Warframe affects the development of this game.
I mean, I think if they're smart, if it works with the time frame, I think the MMO is going to come out before the TV series, and then that way, when the TV series comes out, they can add it as new content to the MMO. Kind of, like how, regardless of the success of Battlefront, but it's like the best example I can think of. The Star Wars movies came out after the Battlefront games had already come out, and so they added certain maps. They did that with I think like Rogue One and a few others, new maps, new characters, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I could see them doing that with the MMO and the TV series, working very well hand in hand.
Yeah, for sure. I don't really think there was much other than that. There's not really a release date associated with it, but it was kind of interesting to see. I saw a lot of people getting excited for it that were kind of disappointed by the original MMO that came out. So it'll be interesting to see. But moving on to the next topic, we have an article where we were looking at Ubisoft partnering with Hit Records for Watch Dogs Legions. I didn't get a chance to look through it in detail. Does anyone else want to take that one away?
Yeah. So years ago, the actor Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he started a production company, which was kind of a sort of freelance, I guess, kind of company. Basically, artists can get whether they're drawn media or audio text or whatever, they can put in their work. They can submit their work for a project that the company Hit Record has been hired on to do something, in the hopes that the company likes their artwork and it gets put into that project, and then they get paid. It's not a solid paying job, if that makes sense. I think one of the examples they use in the article is talking about the music for the upcoming Watch Dogs games, where each of the songs that Hit Record commissions and sends Ubisoft, each of those songs will receive a $2,000 payment, but then that payment is split between each contributing artist. So a lot of these musicians will they might lay down a beat, just one part of the track, and then somebody else comes in and they add something on top of that. So you could end up with 20 different versions of the same song, where there's 200 artists have worked on all 20 of those versions, and then whichever version Ubisoft decides they like, that's the one that gets paid out the $2,000. And then even if there's anywhere from 2 to 50 artists who worked on that single song, they get to split up that $2,000.
Yeah.
So it's causing kind of an uproar in the games industry right now, because it's upsetting a lot of the people who actually studied and trained and who have experience working on not just the music side, but like poster design and cover art and character design and all that kind of stuff that Hit Record hires out for this. They're getting upset because it puts their jobs in jeopardy when somebody who's freelance can just come along and hope that they get a job. So a lot of people are upset about that, and it's raising you're seeing that the hashtag on Twitter has been rising up, no spec, which stands for no speculation, as in I don't know if I'm getting paid for the work I do.
Yeah, I think
Crazy.
it's it's catch-22, because I think the people who get their work chosen are, I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. It's kind of been the whole debacle with artists on like different streaming platforms and things like that, where people are like, oh, I'll pay you with like promotions, that's not the right word, exposure. It's like, I'll pay you with exposure, and it's like, well, exposure doesn't pay the bills. Like, it's nice, but at the end of the day, I think it's creating almost like a hostile market in that way.
I think
Sorry.
I have a different perspective. I do a lot of calligraphy and things like that, like typography, design kind of things. And the big thing there is a lot of companies will just do like free promotion for you are given work, and the whole point is that if some artists are going to do work for free, it's going to devalue the work of everybody. So to keep everybody's value the same, what the artists want and what a lot of the game devs think that Ubisoft should be doing is asking for portfolios, which is how most of the world gets work done for things like this, and then paying for the custom artwork. What Ubisoft said is Watch Dogs Legion is all about having this open world where you can invite anybody into your team and you can just have all of these different characters, and they were kind of trying to create that kind of thing, but I think it backfired on them a little bit with the game developers.
Yeah, I mean, I see it from both sides.
Yeah.
You know, I was I was an animation student for a while, and I get that it's an opportunity for people who don't have any established presence, who don't have a name for themselves yet. It's an opportunity for it to be put out there, regardless of how much they get paid. It might lead on to something else later if the client does like their work and like, oh well, we want to see more of that. But a lot of that is dependent on the client actually having that attitude of, well, we're trying to find, artists we want to keep around, and this is the way to do it. So I don't know. I see both sides of it. I think it's a pretty complex issue.
Yeah. I guess the way it leans is dependent on internally how the studio is looking at it. If they're looking at it like, oh, maybe we'll be able to find some new artists or musicians or what have it through it, I can see there being a positive to it. But then on the flip side, if there's like this evil subplot, whatever you want to call it, where they're like, it'll be cheaper if we get community people to do it and that kind of thing, like that's not good. Like, if that's the only reason they're doing it.
Well, because I mean, bottom line, it is cheaper to pay out $2,000 for a song and then be done with it versus hiring an artist to create a song and then continuing to pay out royalties over the years.
Yeah.
I'm just glad I'm not in the graphics field anymore. I wouldn't want to deal with that. No way.
I've never dealt with that kind of field, so I don't actually have an opinion on this. So.
It is not stable. It's fun, but it's not stable.
Yeah, it's funny. Most people probably don't know this, but Tater and I actually dabbled in some graphic design for a while when we were first getting into streaming because we didn't know like consistent schedules, but we're pretty good at like digital art and stuff like that. So we decided we'd do like some on the side logo design work for people, and people would be like, okay. Like when we would send them a contract being like, okay, we like want this much up front and then like final payment after everything's delivered and stuff like that. They'd be like, well, why do I have to sign this? And I'm like, well, if I send you something and you don't pay me, like there's an issue there. So
yeah, that was always one of my favorite things, being an art student. And I feel like everybody else who's an artist has experienced this where, oh, hey, yeah, can you draw me this? Can you do me a logo? Can you do whatever?
mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure, it'll cost, for this much, and then I'll do it. Wait, I gotta pay you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Well,
Wait, I gotta do it for free?
I mean, if you're a super, super close friend, I sure, whatever. But maybe, yeah. But man, that's a large assumption. It's not just a natural talent; it's a skill that you gotta hone.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and that's
I got $1.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely something that I think is going to be interesting to see how it develops as the gaming space continues to evolve. It's one of the things that people don't like about big manufacturers and like corporate America and all of that. And I think as we see gaming studios and stuff start to continue to grow and be more of a main entertainment source, we're going to see those battles of things that corporate America already faces. And I hope the gaming industry as a whole makes the right decisions, but we'll see. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, the gaming industry right now it's $130 or $130 billion a year industry, which is huge, and it's kind of scattered. kind of all over the place. It's a lot of guesswork with game development and all that. So some people are going to come in and they're going to start putting in some rules, and it'll be interesting to see what those rules are.
Yeah.
It's really 130.
It's a
billion
lot.
dollars?
It's
Mhm.
The size
a
of Best
whole
Buy.
lot.
That's including, game sales, console sales, streaming,
The space
it's a
as a
wide
whole.
variety. Yeah.
I mean, it's alright money.
Chump change.
Yeah, no, we need Amazon level.
Yeah.
So I guess moving on, the last thing we really had in our topics to talk about as far as news is just kind of the general Netflix and video game series and movies that are coming up. The latest one being announced, I believe, this week is the Cuphead Show. It's going to be a show, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So thoughts, opinions?
No brainer. I would
Excited.
say.
I mean, I love the animation.
Yeah. Great.
I mean,
go ahead.
that's my favorite animation style is the 20s and 30s, like Fleischer Brothers
Mm-hmm.
style characters. That's what I do in my own artwork. I can't play Cuphead. I am so god awful at platformers. I never got past the first level, I'll be honest. But I love watching it. I love it. I love the music. I love just everything about it. So I'm excited for a TV series. I will watch it 20 times over.
I'll watch it. I did beat Cuphead once, and I never went back to it. I broke 13 controllers.
Dear heavens.
Holy cow.
So that's why earlier I said I don't know how I feel about it being a comedy, because it never brought me anything but pain. But I guess we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see like what the tone of the show is and like what they choose to go with for the theme. But I'll give it a watch. I love the animation style for sure.
Yeah, aren't they? Or what other series are they releasing on Netflix? Like The Witcher.
Yeah, The Witcher
doing
should
The
hear by
Witcher.
the end of the year, and then at E3, Ubisoft announced they would be doing The Division with Netflix.
That one could be very interesting if done right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is interesting to see them doing more with video games.
Didn't they already do a Division series? Not Netflix, but the first Division. There was a short series.
There's a short series, yeah. I think they're doing like a fully fleshed out show or something though.
Did not do well,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly. I'm a little hesitant about that one.
I am
It's kind
excited
of weird.
about The Witcher.
Superman as the main character, though.
Yeah.
Henry
Of
Cavill.
The Witcher.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes
I think
sense. I
it'd be
mean,
awesome.
he's built like him.
Honestly, they've released like new photos too about from the set and of him and Siri in their costumes and stuff like that. And I think it looks great. He looks like Geralt, like when it's all put together. He's pretty close.
You gotta look at it this way. In order to get somebody to play a good-looking man, they got to be a good-looking man. So, you gotta
True.
go with Henry Cavill.
There
I'm
you go.
Dang it.
I have a wife lady thing. All right, Henry Cavill's a good-looking man. I won't lie.
Oh yeah, my wife wouldn't mind the eye candy for sure.
Okay, so unless y'all have an objection, I say we table the round table this week and move into rapid fire because we are getting close to the end. Objections?
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Okay, let's go, Jace.
Oh,
All right.
boy,
Are you ready, sir?
I guess.
All right. Where did my questions go?
Oh, no.
Oh, there they are.
He's
Okay.
super ready.
All right. Tea or coffee?
Wait, what?
Tea or coffee?
Tea or copy?
Coffee.
Oh, neither.
Oh, okay.
That wasn't an option.
Favorite Final Fantasy game?
6 or 3 or however you want to say it. Best
Okay.
best story. Yeah, never mind. I'll stop.
Favorite multiplayer game?
Multiplayer game?
Mm-hmm.
WoW.
All right. Justin?
Bananas for king or tacos?
Tacos.
Burritos or sushi?
Burritos.
That's all I got.
All right. So for
Thanks,
me,
Justin.
cookies or French fries?
Ooh, French fries.
Favorite flavor of ice cream? I was hungry when I wrote these.
Yeah. What are you trying to say now? Cookies and cream, I guess.
Okay. What has an eye but cannot see?
Me?
No. Try again. What has an eye but cannot see?
What has an eye cannot see? Something. I don't know.
It's a needle.
Oh. Oh my god.
You didn't get a math problem. We did a math problem last week, so.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your favorite farm animal?
Farm animal?
Yes.
Horse.
Lakes or oceans?
Oceans.
What's your favorite pasta dish?
Gnocchi.
All right.
Okay.
I think that's all we got. You definitely didn't stumble as much as we were hoping, but that's
Darn.
okay.
Get prepared.
Yeah. So just real quick, something I think that's good to ask guests when they come on the podcast is you're kind of leaving advice for anyone who watches this who's a streamer, getting into streaming, those kinds of things. What would you say is your one thing you would like them to know?
Don't get discouraged if you see a 0 on the viewer number, and just if you're getting into streaming for get rich quick, forget it. If you're wanting to do it, because you want to build a community, have fun, meet some new people, the numbers, they're going to be there facing you, but at the end of the day, if you turn off your stream and you said I had fun today, then that's all that matters.
Cool. I like it.
And where can everybody find you?
Facebook.com/TheWrathbringer.
Any other socials you want to
Not
plug?
not the Wraithbringer. The Wrath.
Twitter,
My bad.
Instagram, etc.
Same. Wrathbringer. The Wrathbringer everywhere. Twitter.
His name is
Instagram.
in the episode title, so you should be able to grab that if you want to go find him, guys.
Yeah, I bring the wrath.
And I guess we'll just go around and plug all of our personal stuff real quick. Jace, you want to start?
Yeah, I go by the Mocking Jace TV, and you can find me literally anywhere.
Yeah. All right.
Every.
Justin?
Are you behind?
I'm the Psychoscrest. You can find me at facebook.com/Psychoscrest, and you can find me on Instagram at the Psychoscrest. You can find me on Twitter at Psychoscrest.
There you go.
Psychosis.
Psychosis.
What do you want to do?
Okay, and we are Tater and Smitch. You can find us at facebook.gg or fb.gg, and Twitter and Instagram all at Tater and Smitch.
Whoop, whoop. And I think
Spuds.
I think that's all we have for this week. Tentatively, I believe our guest next week is going to be Kendersight Gaming. So if you guys know him, come check it. Come check it out. If you don't know him, you'll get to know him a little bit more next week. So with that being said, we hope you guys all have a fantastic day, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye!
See you guys.
Goodbye.